I'm Sam Armstrong, still with me. I'm Julia Hartley-Brewer. Sam, Banter police. We talked about Banter police before coming in the pubs. Landlords having to worry about their bar staff overhearing someone telling a bawdy joke, or even just saying, oh, trans women aren't women in a pub, and getting upset about it. Now there's talk about this happening under the Employment Rights Bill in people's offices and workplaces, having your human resources officers wandering around, diversity officers, checking there aren't people saying things that might upset other people even as they pass by their desk. You and I probably won't be allowed to go in an office ever again, will we?
No, and I'll tell you for why. Because this government is on the ropes, and it is hell-bent on this plan to shut up any criticism of it. And we know precisely which type of views are going to be clamped down on.
Yep.
We know precisely the sort of politics that people who are going to get cancelled for this are going to have, and it is people that are critical of this government. This is beyond insidious. This is Stasi-esque attempts by a government to employ HR departments, everybody else, to shut down
eventually
critics
we're
everywhere
all going to work in HR or diversity, equity, inclusion. They'll be the only jobs that we actually have. We'll just be a diversity, equity and inclusion department with a country attached. Well, let's talk about this with Alan Price. He's an HR and employment law expert. He's also chief executive of an employment law firm, Bright HR, and he joins us now. Very good morning to you, Alan.
Good morning.
I just want to check, whether or how long we think that Sam and me have actually got before we actually have to leave any workplace, because I think it's bad enough banter police in the pub, but in the workplace too. Now, one of the things I've really enjoyed about working in the media, particularly newspapers, is the banter. Very, very, very bad language. Lots of fun, lots of Mickey taking, lots of that. I've always loved that. It's one of the reasons I've loved the business. That will all have to go under this, but how will it work in an ordinary workplace?
I think this is the problem. We speak to around 70,000 small businesses in the UK, and obviously they want HR support, they want that guidance that you talked about. But when it comes to red tape, it's more and more coming their way. No small business goes into business to think, I'm going to let my employees be harassed, I'm going to get unwanted conduct. And the same for their customers. You can't run a business if your staff don't feel looked after, and you won't have customers if you treat them unfairly. I think the challenge for small businesses is, where does it stop in terms of this red tape?
Yeah, I mean, there's difference, isn't there? Like most people, like this idea, one of the words I always hate, when people say someone's been bullied, I always go, what do you mean? And we often see these cases in the newspapers, like, a tribunal where someone didn't like, someone wasn't invited to on a night out, or someone didn't like someone commenting on the colour of their coat or something, and you're just suddenly into, this is madness. People can't tiptoe around people like that in the workplace. They're trying to just get on with their day. But this is something what I find is interesting. It's part of the Employment Rights Bill, we understand, and it's been pushed by the Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner. What I don't understand is that I've had a drink with her. I know how she speaks. We've heard her talking about, Tory scum in the workplace at a meeting. We've heard her making jokes about her ginger private parts, for goodness sake, herself making those things. So of all the people you'd have thought wouldn't want to police people's language, you wouldn't think it would be Angela Rayner, but it is. But the impact of that on businesses, it's bad enough for the employees, but businesses, it's just another layer of red tape, another reason why you're worried about anyone taking you to an employment tribunal the day after they start work. It becomes untenable to run a business, doesn't it?
And this is it. Obviously, the talk about increased day one rights. Small businesses are fully aware of the Equality Act's been around 15 years now. They know how to treat employees fairly. There was changes last year which put more obligations on them about training their staff and being on the lookout. But the challenge with banter police is, as you said, one person's joke is another person's offence.
Yeah.
And as you said, legal cases aren't free of charge. It may be free for the employee or the claimant to bring a claim, but the employee spends time in defending that, worrying about it.
Yeah.
And as we said before, a small business owner gets up in the morning and wants to do the right thing by the customers and by the staff, and having to think about every comment that's said. And we speak to small businesses all the time, and where do they go? Government should be given really plain English guidance on what's right, what's wrong.
Yeah, and again, I wouldn't sit in an office and put up with someone being sexist or homophobic or racist, or even if someone was having a go at someone who believed they were trans. I would step in. I wouldn't allow that to happen. But it is extraordinary, the stuff that people get policed over in terms of their language in offices already. This is going to make it even worse. And the responsibility again on the employer, who's just trying to sell widgets and make a profit, employ people, pay some tax and go home.
Well, this is it. You've got the national insurance increase, obviously changes coming with the Employment Rights Bill, and none of this helps. The biggest challenge in the UK economy when we speak to small business owners is productivity.
Yeah.
How do we get more productive in the wider world they're dealing with? And more red tape, more regulation, more things to worry about. You wake up in the morning, I keep going back to this point about waking up in the morning. It's how are my staff going to react today? How's my customers going to react?
Yeah.
It's perception, isn't it? That's the big challenge in the workplace. One person's offence is another person's joke. And as you said, in media rooms around the world, people will laugh and joke, but it's how that person feels. And none of us want to harass anybody. And the simple question, the common sense rule is, don't treat anyone unfairly. And that's it.
Yeah.
We don't need any more regulation, and small businesses worry about it every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I know so many people who run small business who say, it's not even worth it anymore. I'm being taxed to the hilt. I have to spend so much time and money dealing with the HR thing, the diversity thing, what's your net zero this, which I don't have any time to actually run my business and get everyone working. And again, with the Employment Rights Bill, all these rights coming in on day one, not being able to just basically try someone out for size to see whether they're actually, going to fit in and whether they're actually going to be a good employee. Everyone can bluff it in an interview. A lot of people can't bluff it for the first 6 months. And that's the reality. And we know, though, everyone knows they work in offices where there are people who are swinging the lead. Come on. And then you're going to have someone who's going to get sacked, and then they're going to say, oh, I overheard a joke that X told Y, and now I'm going to go to tribunal.
And this is it. Everyone's going to be keeping more records to defend themselves. Everyone's going to be more worried about what they said. But if you've got a business with, say, 6 or 7 staff, that's the backbone of the UK economy, over 1 million SMEs in the UK. Who in the business is going to do it? There's a husband and wife, a partner, a brother or a sister.
Yeah.
One of them's on the till, one of them is to producing the goods, the widgets we talked about earlier. Where's this extra person that's going to keep it?
Exactly. Again, if you've got a big multinational corporation, you've got a whole team of these people, but no one else does. Alan Price, very good point. Thank you. But keep up the good work. Chief Executive of Bright HR and Employment Law Firm. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it, Sam? It's just that small businesses. But again, the people in government, they don't run businesses, so they don't understand.
Yeah, and what's going to be the effect? We're just going to have fewer businesses. They're going to move overseas. We're all going to be poorer.
Ta-ta. Oh, no, we'll have to tax those rich more that we've been talking about, and then we won't be able to help the people who need special education needs and others.